I imagine a lot of the people listening have experienced a sudden death. So, I mean, everybody has their own particular version of it. So what I'm saying is what I've sort of understood and experienced through the kind of decades I've been doing this work. And what I understand is that there isn't a sort of hierarchy in grief, in the sense that even when you have an unexpected death, the moment of the death is very shocking. But the complexity of a sudden death is much more intense. And people often think about it as grief with the volume turned up. And the suddenness of this terrible event happening out of a clear blue sky can devastate people's lives. And people often think about it as an assault on their system. Their whole body kind of feels fragmented from the suddenness of it. You know, they woke up in the morning, they had their breakfast, they were going on with their day, and then suddenly they get a call or they witness something. And in that moment, from everything being okay, everything is suddenly totally the opposite. And that is utterly devastating. And some of that is the shock, but it's the missed opportunities. It's the no chance to say goodbye. It's the no amends if you'd had a fight with them or you didn't say, I love you. And one of the ways I kind of think about it is that it's like you're halfway through a sentence and then suddenly you can't speak anymore and you want to go back and finish that sentence and you can't. And that's sort of kind of crazy making for the person that's bereaved.
Yeah. And I mean, you've mentioned a little bit about how these kind of sudden losses have that sort of crazy making quality. I wonder if you could talk a little bit also about some of the physical effects that might come about when you experience that kind of shock.
I mean, it's you know, all grief is mind and body, so it's the two are interconnected. So the thoughts will generate physiological feelings, and the feelings will generate physiological thoughts. But it's like your body goes into high alert, and often people shake or they freeze. They can't think. They don't sleep, which is really terrible because that's a sort of awful cycle of when you're not sleeping, you know, everything is much harder. This sense of helplessness, that you're trying to make sense of something and you can't make sense of it. And sometimes there's a real need to blame and maybe a justified reason to blame, but that can also that can kind of block your grieving process. So that's incredibly difficult. It intensifies your guilt because of the suddenness and many other aspects of it. And people feel like their life has been ripped apart. They talk about it as like, I feel broken. I feel fragmented. I've been thrown into a million pieces. And if it's a unexpected death, when it's a death out of time, so it's someone who you wouldn't expect to die, they're not, you know, older in life, that tears up the rule book of life. So, you know, you should never bury your child, or you shouldn't be burying someone who's, you know, midlife or younger. So that all what you've trusted about life, that this is the progression of life, that gets torn up as well. And everything feels more frightening. So normal things, just like even crossing the road or going out the front door, because you've had this experience where suddenly something so devastating has happened to you, you can't not know that that can happen to you. So everything feels risky. So if you have another family member who's late because they're stuck in traffic, not something right now, but you're sure that they've died. So everything feels difficult and threatening. And everything that you don't know, if there are unanswered questions, if there are holes in the story, you can ruminate and obsess about, and they can kind of drive you mad as well, what you don't know, trying to make sense of it, but not having answers.